Yes, complex analysis 1, limit and continuity. Here, by a function defined on the set X of numbers, we mean a rule which associates to each element of X a unique number. F stands for the function, and the value of the function is denoted by y is equal to fx. This is standard notation in case of real calculus. In place of f, we can also use other letters. In case of complex, we have this notation w is equal to fz. Z is complex and w is also complex. Since w is complex, it has real part u and imaginary part v. Now w depends on z and z depends on x and y. So in general, u and v depends on x and y. And therefore, we can write w is equal to fz is equal to uxy plus iota vxy, where uxy is real part of w and vxy is imaginary part of w. Every complex function can be written in this form. Note that in case of complex analysis, we have to consider four different kinds of functions. Real valued function of a real variable. Herein y is equal to fx. X is real and its value y is also real. Real valued function of a complex variable. In y is equal to fx, x is complex but its value y is real. Complex valued functions of a real variable. In y is equal to fx, x is real and its value y is complex. This fourth type is important in complex analysis, complex valued functions of a complex variable. In this case, in w is equal to fz, z is complex and w is also complex. In complex analysis, we mainly study the complex functions of a complex variable. And we assume that the functions are defined on open sets. This means that if fz1 is defined, then fz is defined for all z sufficiently close to z1. We will discuss this in detail in next video when we study analytic function. At present, assume that if f is defined at z1, then there is a disk about z1 in which fz is defined, or just assume that fz is defined in whole plane. The concept of absolute value, that is modulus, in case of complex is similar to that in case of real. Mod z represents the distance of z from origin. Mod z1 minus z2 is the distance between z1 and z2. The same is the case in real. So the definition of limit is same in real and complex cases. The notation this fz approaches L as z approaches A means that fz has the limit L as z tends to A. And in this case, we write limit z approaches A, fz is equal to L. And it is a fundamental fact that if limit exists, then it is unique. Now we say that limit z approaches A, fz is equal to L if and only if for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that mod fz minus L is less than epsilon for all mod z minus A less than delta. Z need not be equal to A. This means that distance between L and fz can be made arbitrarily small by choosing z sufficiently close to A. The definition of limit is same in real and complex cases, but there is a basic difference between these two limits, that is in limit in real and complex cases. In case of real, if we have this point x is equal to A, then x can approach A either from left or from right. When x approaches A from left, x is smaller than A, and we have left hand limit written as limit x approaches A minus fx. And when x approaches A from right, we have this right hand limit, limit x approaches A plus fx. If both these limit exist, that is left hand limit and right hand limit exist and are equal, we say that limit exists. Now, in case of complex, we have this point z is equal to a. Now, z can approach a from any direction. That is from infinitely many directions. So, the limit in case of complex is more involved. The well-known results for the limit of a sum product and quotient also holds in complex. That is, if limit z approaches a fz and limit z approaches a gz exist, then this limit f plus g is equal to limit f plus limit g, where z approaches a. Limit z approaches a fz gz is limit z approaches a fz, limit z approaches a gz. And limit z approaches a fz over gz is equal to limit z approaches a fz over limit z approaches a gz, provided that in last case limit z approaches a gz is not equal to 0. These results can be proved on using the triangle inequality and the fact that mod z1 z2 is equal to mod z1 mod z2. We now here study some elementary facts about the limit. This first fact, limit z approaches a fz is equal to L if and only if limit z approaches a fz whole conjugate is equal to conjugate of L. Now suppose limit z approaches a fz is equal to L. Then by definition, for every epsilon greater than 0, we can find a corresponding delta greater than 0, such that mod fz minus L is less than epsilon for all 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta. This strict inequality implies that z is not equal to a. Now, note that modulus of a complex number and its conjugate are same. So this expression, mod fz minus L strictly less than epsilon, can be written as modulus of conjugate of fz minus L strictly less than epsilon. And this is equal to modulus of fz conjugate minus L conjugate less than epsilon. And this expression as it is. That is, this holds for all 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta. And by definition, this implies that limit z goes to a fz whole conjugate is equal to L conjugate. And similarly, we can prove the converse. It may be noted here that fz whole conjugate and f of z conjugate are not always equal. For example, if we take fz is equal to z plus iota, then f of z conjugate is z conjugate plus iota, while fz of whole conjugate is z conjugate minus iota. So in this case, fz whole conjugate is not equal to f of z conjugate. Now, second fact, limit z approaches a fz is equal to L. If and only if real part of fz goes to real part of L as z goes to a, and imaginary part of fz goes to imaginary part of L as z goes to a. Proof, let limit z goes to a fz is equal to L. Then by result 1, limit z goes to a fz conjugate is equal to L conjugate. Now adding these two as both the limit exists, we have in left limit z goes to a fz plus fz conjugate, which is equal to limit z goes to a 2 time real part of fz. And in right hand side, we have 2 time real part of L. So cancelling to both sides, what we have, limit z goes to a real part of fz is equal to real part of L. Similarly, on subtracting, we find that limit z goes to a imaginary part of fz is imaginary part of L. Now conversely, let limit z goes to a real part of fz is equal to real part of L, and limit z goes to a imaginary part of fz is equal to imaginary part of L. Now from this, limit z goes to a real part of fz is equal to real part of L1. There, for every epsilon 1 greater than 0, we can find a delta 1 such that modulus real part of fz minus real part of L less than epsilon 1. This holds for all 0 strictly less than mod z minus a strictly less than delta 1. Similarly, from this limit z approaches a imaginary part of fz is equal to imaginary part of L. We, for every epsilon 2 greater than 0, we can find a corresponding delta 2 greater than 0 such that modulus of imaginary part of fz minus imaginary part of L is less than epsilon 2 for all 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta 2. Now calculate this. Mod fz minus L. Fz is real part of fz plus iota imaginary part of fz. And this L is real part of L plus iota imaginary part of L. Now using triangle inequality, we have this less than equal to modulus real part of fz minus real part of L. And this modulus imaginary part of fz minus imaginary part of L. Now for 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta 1, this mod real part of fz minus real part of L is less than epsilon 1. And similarly, for 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta 2, we have imaginary part of fz minus imaginary part of L mod less than epsilon 2. And say this equal epsilon. So this holds when 0 is strictly less than mod z minus a less than delta, where we choose delta to be minimum of delta 1, delta 2. So from this, by definition, we have limit z approaches a fz is equal to L. Now this third elementary fact, limit z approaches a fz is equal to L, implies limit z approaches a mod fz is equal to mod L. Suppose this holds, limit z approaches a fz is equal to L. Then for every epsilon greater than 0, we can find corresponding delta greater than 0, such that mod fz minus L is less than epsilon for all 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta. Now use triangle inequality. This is also called triangle inequality. Mod z1 minus z2 greater than equal to modulus of mod of z minus mod of z2. So using this, we see that this mod fz minus L is greater than equal to modulus of mod of fz minus mod of L. So using definition, we see that limit z approaches a mod fz is equal to mod L. Converse of the above result is not meaningful. Why? Because if mod of L is fixed, then L can take infinitely many different values. So converse does not make any sense. We now discuss infinite limits. In the real case, we have order relation and also have two different kinds of infinities, minus infinity and plus infinity. In case of complex, we do not have order relation and there is only one infinity denoted by z, by infinity, this symbol infinity. Now for any finite complex number z, z plus infinity is same as infinity plus z and this equal infinity. And if we multiply a non-zero complex number with this infinity, we get infinity. We also write z over 0 is equal to infinity for z not equal to 0 and z over infinity is equal to 0 for z not equal to infinity. It is not possible to define expression like infinity over infinity and 0 into infinity. Now, what is extended complex plane? It consists of all finite complex number and this one ideal point called infinity. In our course, we will assume that every straight line passes through this ideal point infinity, but this infinity is not contained in any half plane. Now the definitions. Now we say that limit z approaches infinity, fz is equal to L. Here L is finite, but z approaches infinity. This holds if and only if for every epsilon greater than 0, there exists a positive real number capital R such that mod fz minus L is less than epsilon for all mod z greater than R. This means that distance between L and Fz can be made arbitrarily small in the neighborhood of infinity. This mod z greater than R is neighborhood of infinity. In this case, we also write limit mod z approaches infinity, Fz is equal to L. Second, limit z approaches a, Fz is equal to infinity. This holds if and only if for every positive real number r greater than 0, there exists a delta greater than 0 such that mod Fz greater than r for all 0 less than mod z minus a less than delta. That is in some neighborhood of the point A. This mod of Fz can be made arbitrarily large. And in this case, we also write limit mod z approaches a, Fz is equal to infinity. Now this limit z approaches infinity, Fz is equal to infinity. This holds if and only for every positive real number small r greater than 0, there exists capital R greater than 0, such that mod Fz is greater than r for all mod z greater than capital R. In this case, we also write limit mod z goes to infinity, Fz is infinity. Note that we also use finite limits to discuss infinite limit. This limit z approaches a, Fz is equal to infinity is equivalent to limit z goes to a 1 over Fz is equal to 0. And limit z goes to infinity, Fz is equal to L. This is equivalent to limit z goes to 0, f of 1 by z is equal to L. And limit z goes to infinity, Fz is equal to infinity is equivalent to limit z goes to 0, 1 over f of 1 over z is equal to 0. Note that in this right hand sides, we have finite limits. Continuous functions. If a function f is said to be continuous at a if and only if limit z approaches a, Fz comes out to be equal to f of a. A continuous function is one which is continuous at all points wherever it is defined. The sum and product of two continuous functions are continuous, and the quotient Fz over Gz is continuous at z is equal to a if and only if Ga is not equal to 0. Also, if Fz is continuous, then its real part, imaginary part, and its modulus are also continuous.